You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
If you're trying to keep up with what's happening in tech, the speed of AI, it's not just fast anymore. It feels, I don't know, aggressive.
Right.
It's not about small updates. We're getting these huge announcements, it feels like, every single Monday. It's a lot.
It's overwhelming, and that's why we're here, really.
To be your expert guides, to cut through all that information so you can walk away with something real, something you can actually use.
Exactly. I mean, when you're dealing with news that covers everything from new model launches to billion-dollar deals to, fundamental shifts in how these things are even built, you need a shortcut.
Okay, so what are we focusing on today?
I think we should synthesize 3 big threads for you. First, the intense competition between OpenAI and Google.
The big 2.
Yeah. Second, the really surprising technical secrets behind things like model memory and how AI agents actually work.
And third,
the global high-stakes business strategies, where the truly massive money is flowing.
all right, let's get into it. Starting at the top, the race between the giants. We heard this great story this week. Apparently, when Google dropped Gemini 3, OpenAI declared a corporate code red.
A code red. Wow.
That kind of pressure. It's not just for headlines. It creates real technological acceleration. And now that's leading straight to the launch of GPT-5.2.
It's a clear escalation, and the focus of 5.2 is it's less about a huge leap in general knowledge and much more about strategic dominance.
In what area?
In the enterprise sector, they've specifically optimized it for speed and reliability in professional settings.
So it's built for what businesses actually need.
Right. It's built to handle those long-term, multi-step agent workflows that companies are, finally starting to demand.
So we're talking about a model that is faster, more reliable, and this is critical, more customizable.
Right.
Why is that part, the customization, such a big deal right now?
Because, that's what businesses will actually pay for. If you're building an agent for, say, a specific bank or to manage logistics, you need it to absorb massive amounts of your own documents and stick to very, very rigid protocols. GPT 5.2 is better at long context reasoning, tool use, all the things you need for a reliable agent.
And the multimodal race is heating up too, right?
Yeah.
Especially on the visual side. We're seeing tests on new Image 2 models.
We are. And the early reports are noting a substantial increase in image detail, in fidelity.
So they're aiming to match Google.
It's a very targeted response. They're aiming directly at the quality benchmark set by Google's Nano Banana 2. Visuals are the next frontier for marketing, for creative departments, all major enterprise customers.
It's interesting. As they push the tech boundaries, they're also adjusting the content boundaries.
You mean the adult mode?
Yeah, planning to debut a ChatGPT adult mode in early 2026. This feels like a huge shift after they spent so long cutting back its personality.
Well, it's a strategic split of the product by adding parental controls and, importantly, age verification.
They can have it both ways.
They're trying to. They're trying to satisfy 2 conflicting demands. The regulators and the users who want fewer restrictions. It's a very difficult tightrope to walk.
Okay, so meanwhile, what's Google's counter strategy?
Yeah.
Seems like it's not just about tech, it's about efficiency.
Yes, and what's really fascinating about Google's move is this focus on cost. Cost as a weapon.
You're talking about the Gemini Nano Banana 2 flash model.
Exactly. The promise here is it's high performance, but it's accessible. This flash version is designed to match the Pro version's performance, but at a, dramatically lower cost to run.
So flash is for the huge, large-scale deployments.
Yeah.
Where a fraction of a cent per query actually matters when you're running billions of them.
Precisely. It's an infrastructure play. And on the intelligence side, Gemini 3 Pro is still just shining in multimodal tasks. When we say it excels at document, screen, and video understanding, we're describing an AI that can basically see and read the world around it.
That's a critical difference. Most models can handle text, maybe an image, but a live video stream or a complex business dashboard, that's the key to real autonomy.
And they're making it accessible. They've introduced something called Gemini Deep Research, available through their Interactions API.
Okay, what is that?
Think of it as a specialized assistant, optimized for gathering context and putting it all together. Synthesis.
Is it really better at synthesis, though? Or is it just a nice UI on top of what we already have?
That's the key question. It uses Gemini 3 Pro as its brain, but and this is crucial, it uses multi-step reinforcement learning to get better at searching.
So it learns from its mistakes.
It learns how to search better, which makes the final result, that coherent narrative, far more accurate than just a simple search. It's a real step up for research assistants.
That feels like a genuine change in how we might interact with these things.
It is.
You know, the incredible pressure in this race, it often hides the real genius, which is happening at the architectural level. To understand this fight for efficiency, you have to look inside the models.
Mm-hmm.
And this next bit was a real aha moment for me. It challenges everything we kind of assumed about how these models remember things.
Well, for the last couple of years, we've all been conditioned to think that long-term memory for an AI comes from one place.
A giant searchable database, RAG.
Right, retrieval augmented generation, usually with vector databases.
Yeah.
You give the model all the past data, it finds what's relevant. Simple.
But that's not what's happening. When engineers reverse-engineered ChatGPT's memory, they found it doesn't use RAG or vector databases at all for conversation history.
Not at all.
Why? Why that dramatic departure?
Because it's a highly pragmatic, token-efficient approach. It prioritizes speed and relevance over, perfect historical detail. They operate on 4 distinct layers of memory.
Okay, let's break down those 4 layers because they really explain why the model is so fast, even if it sometimes forgets what you told it last week.
So layer 1 is just ephemeral session metadata, things like your location, usage patterns.
Basics.
Layer 2 is dedicated long-term facts, things you've explicitly told it, hey, remember this, and it stores that via a separate tool.
Okay.
Layer 3 is lightweight summaries, just quick recaps of the last few turns in a conversation. And layer 4 is simply a sliding window of the immediate current conversation.
It's brilliant and brutally efficient.
It is.
By summarizing and just using a small active window, they save a staggering amount of token cost and inference time.
Even if the trade-off is sacrificing that deep, detailed memory of a chat from hours ago, for a public chatbot with huge volume, it's perfect.
That speed and adaptability is so critical because the future is undeniably agentic. We need AIs built for complex, real-world tasks where new information is constantly streaming in.
Which raises the big question. How do you build an architecture that can actually learn new things on the fly without being completely retrained?
And Google Research has an answer for that. The Titans in Miaris architecture. This is where things get, well, pretty technical, but really exciting.
This architecture combines the speed of recurrent neural networks, RNNs, with the accuracy of transformers.
And that blend allows for something revolutionary. You called it test time memorization?
Yes, and real-time parameter adaptation.
Okay, test time memorization. For those of us who don't spend our lives reading research papers, why is that such a big deal?
Well, traditionally, a model's core knowledge is fixed after it's trained. If you want it to learn something new, you have to retrain it. Slow, hugely expensive.
Right.
Test time memorization means the model can actively update its own core parameters during a task. It's like it can jot down a quick permanent note to itself on the fly. It's a huge advance for long-term usefulness.
The difference between a fixed library and one you can write new books into instantly. And this whole agentic shift is already showing up in developer tools.
Absolutely. We're seeing tools integrate agents right into the workflow, like Anthropic's Claude Code in Slack.
So developers can run entire coding sessions right from a Slack thread.
Yep. The agent detects the repo context, gives you progress updates. You never have to leave your main communication channel.
And what about when things go wrong? Debugging.
For that, you've got Curse's new debug mode. It's an agent loop that mimics how an expert human would debug something.
How so?
It generates multiple hypotheses for why the code is failing, then it automatically instruments the code with logs to test them, and finally it loops you in to verify the fix.
It turns debugging from a messy arg into a structured, automated process.
Exactly. And it's also worth noting, for the coding community, a model called DevStroll 2.
Why that one?
Because it proves that size isn't everything. It's an open-weight model, a fraction of the size of its peers, but it still scores an impressive 72.2% on the SWE bench.
And that benchmark is for fixing real-world software bugs.
It is. It confirms that smart architecture and better training can really compete with just sheer scale. It's democratizing high-performance coding AI.
Let's talk about the money. Because the corporate and infrastructure stakes here they're absolutely astronomical. And you can't really discuss the landscape this week without leading with that blockbuster Disney and OpenAI deal.
That deal is the flagship example. It's what happens when you combine unstoppable content creation tech with unassailable intellectual property.
The numbers are huge. A $1 billion investment from Disney.
And a 3-year licensing deal.
Right, $1 billion is a massive investment, but the real value is the licensing. This deal covers over 200 of the world's most recognizable characters.
Disney, Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars.
All licensed for creation within Sora and ChatGPT image. What does this signal to the market?
It signals the IP gold rush is real. Disney is betting that as AI drives content production costs towards zero.
The content itself becomes a commodity.
Exactly. But the iconic brands, the characters that people have an emotional connection to, they become exponentially more valuable.
And this commercial agent integration is flowing everywhere. It's not just entertainment.
Yeah. No, it's about making AI the new layer for commerce. Shopify merchants can now sell products directly through platforms like ChatGPT.
And Adobe.
Adobe's integrating its core tools, Photoshop, Acrobat, right into ChatGPT. You're seeing the full stack, commerce, and creation being funneled through these platforms.
This is where we see a fascinating strategic shift, though.
Mm-hmm.
Meta has been the loudest champion of open source. It practically defined their whole AI strategy.
It did.
But now they're making a pretty dramatic pivot.
This is where the strategy gets complex and maybe a bit hypocritical. Meta is pivoting internally to develop a new closed model, codenamed Avocado.
Okay, wait. After years of championing open source, what's the risk there?
The risk is alienating the very community they work so hard to build, but the internal drive is clearly to compete with the latest closed-source giants. And what's really notable
Go on.
is that Avocado is reportedly being trained in part on outputs distilled from rival models, Gemma GPT-5.
So they're learning from their competitors to build a premium closed product.
Yes. And they also acquired a company called Limitless and shifted that team to work on their AR and AI wearables. They are serious about competing on all fronts.
Which signals they believe the future is closed and proprietary, regardless of what they said in the past. And speaking of serious, the infrastructure spending is just jaw-dropping.
The scale is astronomical. We learned that Anthropic was the mystery customer behind that initial $10 billion order for custom Broadcom chips.
$10 billion.
And that wasn't enough. They placed an additional $11 billion order last quarter, so that's a total of $21 billion.
$21 billion just for custom chips. Why do that? Why not just buy NVIDIA GPUs like everyone else?
It's all about efficiency, specialization, and control over your supply chain. These custom chips, these ASICs, are designed purely for the math of AI. They're incredibly power efficient and fast for the specific models Anthropic runs.
So it's a massive long-term bet on operational cost savings.
It is. It's a foundational commitment to building their own AI infrastructure for the next decade.
A huge commitment. But despite all this investment and all this new tech, we're hitting a bit of a reality check in the market.
We are.
Enterprise AI is a $37 billion market, growing like crazy. But adoption, it hit a speed bump in November.
Yeah, adoption actually held flat for about 45% of businesses surveyed, and that suggests that the easy wins, the low-hanging fruit from this generation of models,
Simple summarization and generation tasks.
they've largely been implemented. To justify the next massive wave of spending, businesses need that next leap. They need implementation gains, not just capability gains.
So the race continues, the budgets are insane, but real-world adoption is waiting for that next jump in utility.
Right.
Okay, let's finish up by looking far beyond the labs in Silicon Valley.
I mean, we are literally moving to the absolute frontier of infrastructure, space.
Space.
NVIDIA-backed Star Cloud successfully trained the very first AI model in orbit. They used an NVIDIA H100 GPU running Google's Gemma LLM on their Star Cloud 1 satellite.
AI in orbit. Now, this isn't just a publicity stunt for the vocal technologist crowd, is it? There's a serious financial driver here.
A huge one. The primary goal is radical energy savings. Powering AI on Earth is immensely energy intensive. These orbital data centers aim to capture constant solar energy.
A 5-gigawatt orbital data center is what they're planning.
It directly addresses the growing power demands and environmental impact of data centers on the ground. It's a path to nearly limitless green energy for computation.
A stunning infrastructure play. Back on Earth, Google DeepMind is focusing its AI on the physical world.
Which feels like the natural next step for them. They're opening a robotic AI lab in the UK, specifically dedicated to discovering new materials.
New materials for what exactly?
For things crucial to the future economy. Advanced compounds for medical imaging, highly efficient solar panels, next-gen chips. The goal is to use AI and robotics to turn years of lab work into weeks of automated exploration.
And finally, we have to touch on the governance conflict playing out in the U.S.
The regulatory powder keg.
President Trump promised an executive order this week to curb state AI regulations. And this comes after literally all 50 states and territories introduced their own AI legislation this year.
It really highlights the gridlock between innovation and regulation. He's planning an AI litigation task force to challenge what he calls onerous state laws.
Essentially trying to preempt state-level rules with a federal directive.
Exactly. Though it's worth noting impartially that legal experts are questioning whether the president even has the authority to intervene on that scale. This tension is setting the stage for major legal battles over who controls the pace of AI in the U.S.
So that brings us to the end. We've seen the intense model race pushing for speed with GPT-5.2, the incredible architectural finesse of ChatGPT's memory, and the just dizzying financial bets from companies like Anthropic.
And if you connect all those dots, the technical competition, the financial arms race, it's all driving toward a single nuanced goal that people often miss.
Which is?
The critical idea that alignment is capability. It's not some soft philosophical topic. It's a strategic one. The labs that figure out how to build models that genuinely understand human intent and values, those are the ones that will pull ahead. Because true, reliable AGI requires that alignment.
A profound thought to end on, and it makes me think. Consider that huge Disney licensing deal. As AI drives the cost of digital content to zero, iconic IP becomes exponentially more valuable because it's scarce. So it makes you wonder, what established non-digital assets like unique physical places or rare artifacts or irreplaceable human experiences will also increase dramatically in value in a world that's saturated with near-free digital abundance? Keep that question with you as you navigate the week ahead.
Spoken Tech, for your ears.